regular Housing and Redevelopment Authority is the roll call.
Chair Sandal is absent tonight. Acting Chair Quam.
Here.
Commissioner Gebner.
Here.
Commissioner Gotel.
Here.
Commissioner Rubenstein.
Here.
And the next item is the approval of the agenda.
I move to approve. Approval in a minute.
Oh, well, let's go ahead and approve the agenda.
Agenda looks good.
Okay.
For a
All in
second.
favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I'll go back to approval of the minutes of the regular HRA meeting of March 18th, 2013.
I'll move that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. And the next item is consideration of a resolution authorizing the purchase of real property located at 7427 Pillsbury Avenue through the Richfield Rediscovered Program. Ms. Barton.
Thank you, Commissioner Quam and Commissioner HRA Commissioners. 7427 Pillsbury Avenue has been vacant and in disrepair since 2009. The property was forfeited to Hennepin County last year for unpaid taxes, and the county has subsequently offered it to the HRA on a right of first refusal to purchase the property. HRA staff had an independent inspection conducted, which concluded that the property is indeed substandard and it would be best suited to be demolished. The HRA is able to purchase the property from Hennepin County for the appraised value of $75,000 plus closing costs for a total of approximately $78,400. If the HRA chooses to acquire the house would be demolished and the lot would be sold for the construction of a new home through the Richfield Rediscovered Program. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I have a couple. How much was the homeowner behind on the taxes?
I don't know if I...
Not $75,000, right?
Probably not that much. It's usually a couple years in arrears. I don't have that information with me, but I can get it for you.
So why can't the city just go in and pay the taxes and acquire it that way instead of doing it for its appraised value?
As I understand it, it's already gone through the process, and Hennepin County was able to acquire the property first.
Oh.
It was just forfeited to them because the taxes weren't paid.
But they owed city taxes too.
Hennepin County goes ahead of us.
Okay, just an angle that I was looking to use.
I know we would all hope, but 75 isn't bad for a new lot too, to put in the Rediscover program compared to some of the other things we've had to pay for.
It is a larger lot too. It's 75 feet wide.
I was going to comment on that.
Yeah.
It's really a substantial lot with that two-car garage on it to boot. I mean, this is really screaming for a beautiful home to be built there, and it's a very good location to boot.
There's quite a few of those going up these days, I see.
Any further comments or questions? If not, do I have a motion?
I so move.
I'll second.
So a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the purchase of real property located at 7427 Pillsbury Avenue through the Richfield Rediscovered Program has been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The next item is a public hearing and consideration of a resolution authorizing the sale of HRA property located at 301 West 77th Street to Tolumetri Collision, Inc. Mr. Stark?
Yes, thank you, Chair Quam and Commissioners. The HRA has owned this parcel at 301 West 77th Street since 1992. In 1998, the land was subdivided into two parcels, and the larger portion was sold to the Candlewood Suites, and the remaining parcel was retained by the HRA and has been vacant since 1992. Richfield Bloomington Honda recently purchased nearby property from Tolumetri's Collision to allow for the expansion and updating of their dealership. Tolumetri sold its property to Richfield Bloomington Honda with the understanding that they would be able to purchase the HRA property for the development of a new facility. At a fall work session in 2011, Tolumetri presented their proposal to purchase the HRA's vacant property for the development of a new collision repair facility. Based on the HRA's positive review of the project at that work session, Tolumetri's moved forward in the land use application process. Ultimately, on July 11th, 2012, the City Council did approve a comprehensive plan amendment, PUD, and the rezoning of the property. On July 16th, 2012, the HRA held a public hearing to consider selling the HRA land to Tolumetri's. Following the public hearing, the HRA approved by motion the sale of the HRA land to Tolumetri's and approved a purchase agreement between the HRA and Tolumetri. The purchase agreement has been executed by both parties and earnest money has been deposited with the HRA. The fulfillment of the purchase agreement is contingent on the HRA holding tonight's duly noticed public hearing. And I say duly noticed because it did come to staff's attention that the public hearing that was held on July 16, 2012 was not properly advertised in the Sun Current. This was due to an inadvertent oversight by staff. Therefore, the HRA is being asked to rehold tonight's public hearing, and this was noticed in the Sun Current on April 4th. So essentially, we're asking you to redo something you did about 9 months ago.
Thank you. Are there questions or comments from the HRA?
Where's the public? Yeah.
You know, we have not heard any concern about this. The only concerns we've ever heard were from the home offices of the company that owns Candlewood Suites in Atlanta. I can't remember the name of the larger corporation, but they were aware of all of the meetings we've been holding, and they weren't obviously concerned enough to take any action via writing or in person.
I move that we close the public hearing.
Before we close the public hearing, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience or within shot of my microphone who would like to make any comments or statements with regard to this item? Hearing none.
I'll again move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing is closed. Do I have a motion to act on this?
I so move.
Second.
Motion and second, and the motion is to approve the attached resolution. No.
The Housing Redevelopment Authority property.
Am I on the right one?
Tolumetri. This one.
Approve the sale.
I'll make
Number
the
4,
motion.
thank
The
you.
motion is to approve the sale of the Housing Redevelopment Authority property located in 301 West 77th Street.
Thank you, Commissioner, for helping me find my place.
Okay.
With that motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And
I'd
the
just
ne-
like to say I recall that discussion 9 months ago and how positive everybody was about the impending sale and the improvement and expansion of two very valuable business citizens of Richfield.
I suspect that has something to do with the fact that no one's objecting to this.
Yes, and
this
everything
trend.
goes through smooth, right? And people cooperate.
With that, we'll move to item number 5, consideration of a resolution approving a First Amendment to the cross-access easement agreement with Candlewood, Minneapolis, Minnesota LLC.
Yes,
Start.
Mr. Chair. You know, I'm not going to go into all the background on this because the changes to this are so minimal. There were, when we purchased the Candlewood site, there were a couple of easements put on the site. One was an access agreement to allow Candlewood Hotel to drive over the HRA-owned property to get to their parking lot. The other was what was called a shared parking agreement that says that Candlewood can park 25 of their cars on the HRA-owned property, and whoever uses the HRA property can park 25 of their cars on the Candlewood property. The changes that are being suggested to the agreement only do two things. It removes the word temporary from the access agreement so that it becomes a permanent access agreement. And then there were some illustrations showing where the shared parking was to occur. of course, nobody knew where the buildings were going to be built back when this was first agreed upon. And so now there's a more detailed drawing that are shown on 523 and 524, identifying where the shared parking would happen. Both Candlewood and Tolumetri are amiable to the changes that are being suggested and had their legal staffs involved. So with that, I would take any questions.
Are there any questions or comments? I would just note that I suspect the reason that the temporary easement is becoming permanent is because there used to be a plan to have a 78th Street exit, and now there's no street. So they'll probably need to go off on 77th. And I assume that staff and everyone is comfortable with the parking sufficiency, because after we do this, it'll belong to them, and we don't really care how they do their easements.
Yeah, and it does make a lot of sense because a lot of the Candlewood users are not there during the day on weekdays, and the shared parking that Tolumetri's would need is primarily for their employees who would only be there during the day, and vice versa. A lot of the Candlewood need is at night when the Tolumetri employees would mostly be home and freeing up spaces. So this is a good shared parking arrangement.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I have just one question. There aren't any real changes in the actual parking area. Are there, and if there are, is there any discussion here about permeable surfaces or anything like that?
Well, there are not going to be any changes to Candlewood's parking lot. That remains exactly as it is. The Tolumetri parking lot is going to be newly constructed, and I don't believe that they are doing permeable pavement, but they are doing quite a bit of landscaping. To be honest, we're with the topic of permeable pavement, we're still learning how to apply that. It was used at the city's maintenance facility, and the results of that, I think, have been less. I think they've been more problematic than the public works folks ever thought they would be, for a couple of reasons. One is they fill up with. It's a porous material, and the pores fill up with salt and sand in the Minnesota environment. And so they are, we're hearing from other folks that there are new techniques in permeable pavement that are coming along that would be more suitable for a northern environment. And I do know that Richfield Bloomington Honda is looking into some new technologies with permeable pavement.
Thank you.
May I also state, as the environmental engineer sitting here, that there's a problem when you have cars that coming off of collisions that might leak something to put them over pervious pavement, and that would be also the case with there are places for them that work a lot better than probably these types of establishments.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, John, is the easement go with the property or go with the business? So that if two different businesses come in here in the future, then they would still have this arrangement that might not be in the best interest of the community?
Yeah, it goes with the property. It gets attached to the title work for the property itself, regardless of who the owner is. So after we take this action tonight, presuming you do, we would no longer be involved in any negotiations. So if Candlewood were to sell to Holiday Inn and Holiday Inn didn't like the access agreement or the shared parking agreement, they would have to work that out with Tolumetri, and we would no longer be involved.
Any other questions or comments? If not, we could move to a motion. I'll approve the attached resolution which approves the First Amendment to the cross-access easement agreement with Candlewood, Minneapolis, Minnesota LLC. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Item number 6, HRA discussion items already. Are there items that anyone wants to discuss?
Just wanted to know if community development give us a update on how the visioning task force is going.
Yep. we've had 3 meetings. Yep, 3 meetings. 2 of which have had outside people come in and speak. We've been filming all the outside speakers, and that's available on the city's website. We have a great group of people that are coming in and giving their time for this. So we meet again tomorrow night. And then on the 26th, Saturday, I believe the 26th, we are taking a bus tour
Friday's
of,
26th.
of other developments throughout the Twin Cities. So the process has been very good so far. And of course, you folks are welcome to attend. If you ever are going to attend, if you would let us know in advance so that we can avoid issues with a quorum, that would be helpful.
John, excuse me, are the meetings written down somewhere as to when they are and
Yep, it's all on
on the website?
Yep, on the website, there's a prominent feature on the housing visioning on the community development website that has that schedule.
Looking forward to hearing more.
Thank you. Other discussion items? If not, the executive director report, Mr. Stark.
Just a couple of things. One is a reminder. We've talked about this a couple of times, but it's the Home Energy Squad. I'd recommend to people out there watching on TV that you check out the Home Energy Squad on the community development website. It's a fantastic program where you would pay a nominal fee. I want to say it's $50
It's 50.
for a crew to come in and evaluate your house for its energy savings potential. But when you pay your $50, they come in, and not only do they give you a plan for the future, they give you resources for the present, which would include new light bulbs. I believe it sometimes includes new filters for your furnace. It includes some sealant for your windows. And what we're hearing is that people can walk away with $200 or more worth of improvements just from that one visit, in addition to the long-term plans that they would have to make their home more energy efficient.
I'd like to add something to that. It's a disappointment. Unfortunately, I learned that housing such as condos, which may not be paying all of their money to there are 2 participating sponsors of this, XL and whoever became Minagasco. I can't remember that. Centerpoint. You must pay bills to both of those organizations. If you don't pay, if an owner does not pay directly to both of them, you are not qualified to get that kind of an audit.
Well, I hadn't heard that. And you got that information from
I talked to Stacy Bootscamp, my very own self.
Okay.
Very
You know what?
disappointing.
We'll look into that and see if there's
Yeah.
something we can do there to rectify that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know, and that's helpful,
I
so
didn't
thank
know
you.
either, but I found out.
Yeah. There's certainly things that people can do in townhouses and condos too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be good. Thanks.
Oh,
Thank
and the other thing, sorry, is at your last meeting, you did approve the connectivity plan for the Lakes at Lindale area. And I wanted to pass along that since that time, both the Transportation Commission and the City Council have approved that as well. And I would think that we would see implementation coming, where you would see implementation is in the budgets for the HRA in the city that staff will be preparing in June.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else?
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to make a statement that I believe the rest of the HRA and staff would share with me, is that we'd like to extend our condolences to those who have been attacked in the city of Boston today. It's a tragedy for the Boston and for our nation, and we stand in solidarity with them.
Of course we do.
Thank you. I think you're right. I think we all agree with that.
Horrible things.
The next item is item number 8, claims and payroll.
So moved?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. With that, we've completed the items of our agenda. If there's no objection, we stand adjourned.
Thank you.